Hello, book lovers. Welcome to Authors Love Bookstores, presented by A Mighty Blaze. I'm Joe Moldover, author of the novel Every Moment After, and I am here as your host today. A Mighty Blaze is a volunteer effort of writers and creatives who love books and storytelling and authors and bookstores. We work to bring attention to these essential parts of our culture during COVID-19 and beyond. Authors Love Bookstores is a weekly online program held on Wednesdays. I host and produce this program in conjunction with fellow writer Kimberly Hensel-Lawrence. Our goal is to highlight indie bookstores across the US and Canada, to tell you what makes them so special and what you can do to support their continued survival. We do this by speaking with booksellers and with the authors who love and appreciate their stories. If you're watching us live on Facebook, feel free to post a question via a comment below the broadcast, and we will get to as many as we can. Today, I am delighted to welcome the wonderful one and only Randy Susan Meyers to the program. Hello, Randy. It's so great to see you. Randy,
hello, Joe.
I'm so happy to see you. Randy is the author of 5 novels, including The Widow of Wall Street, and most recently, Wasted. These are my own personalized autographed copies. CNN called Wasted a provocative and compelling novel that's technically fiction, but discusses a topic most can relate to: anxiety over our waistlines. Parade Magazine, Pop Sugar, BookBub, Woman.com, Get Literary, and Brit.com chose Wasted as a top 2019 summer read. 3 of Randy's novels were chosen as a must-read book by the Massachusetts Council of the Book, an affiliate of the Library of Congress, and they wrote, "The clear and distinctive voice of Randy Susan Meyers will have you enraptured and wanting more," which is true. Randy is a Brooklyn-Boston mix who believes happiness requires family, friends, books, and an occasional New York bagel, which I am missing during COVID. She lives in Boston with her husband, where she teaches writing seminars at Boston's Grub Street Writer Center and also at Northampton's Writer in Progress. And Randy is joining us to talk about one of her favorite independent booksellers, Excelsior Bay Books, located in Excelsior, Minnesota. And we are so delighted and appreciative that we have Pamela Klinger-Horn, events coordinator at Excelsior Bay Books. Hello and welcome, Pamela. It's good to see you.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
Pamela, we have something unique for our viewers today. We want to introduce people to Excelsior and Excelsior Bay Books. We always do that by asking the bookseller questions, but you have something special. You are actually going to take us to Excelsior with some multimedia. Is that true?
Exactly, yes. Okay. With masks restrictions, we couldn't be there in person, but I did a fun little video with the store owner and the staff this morning, and we're going to share that right now.
This is new territory for Authors Love Bookstores.
Okay. Are you seeing that yet?
Nope, we're with you. We're not on screen share right now. I think we're with.
Okay, screen share. All right. Let's see. Well. Sorry for the delay here. Okay. Now are you seeing this?
Yep, that's great.
Oh, great. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to beautiful downtown Excelsior on the shores of Lake Minnetonka and Excelsior Bay Books, the best little bookstore in Excelsior for the last 26 years. And here's our owner, Ann Woodbeck, and the employee of the month every month, Nell, the bookstore dog.
Come on in. Welcome to Excelsior Bay Books.
Here we are. We have booksellers Kim and Lori hard at work. Our table with all the latest paperbacks, hardcovers, our beautiful little comfortable reading area, and then back to the children's section. Plenty of picture books, lots of hot titles for teens, nonfiction biography, and Ann and Nell.
We have a great time here in Excelsior. We love our customers who've been with us for the 26 years of the store's history. And we are a big fan of authors, particularly Randy Susan Meyers.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was great. I can't tell you how much that makes me wish I could walk into an independent bookstore right now. And I saw some of Randy's books out on the tables. Pamela, tell us a little bit more about Excelsior, Minnesota. Tell us about where you are and about the community that you serve there.
We are located about 30 minutes west of Minneapolis on the shores of Lake Minnetonka. It's a historic town. And 26 years ago, our former owners, Ann Nye and Ellie Temple, started the store. It was a completely women-owned and operated business. Just this January, Ann Woodbeck and her husband Woody bought the store. Ann's been a longtime employee at Excelsior Bay, and they only had just taken over when they were hit with all the restrictions of COVID. So they immediately pivoted to doing curbside and electronic and phone sales and working day and night. They were busy, kept the store up and running and serving the community with lots of books and puzzles while everything was shut down. And eventually this summer, we were able to reopen our doors to a few customers at a time. And the community's been wonderfully supportive. We're very lucky to be here.
That's fabulous. I was going to ask you for a unique fact about your store, but the online audience loves so the dog is Nell, is that right?
Nell is a standard poodle.
So I'm going to say the unique fact perhaps is that your employee of the month is Nell. Tell us about Nell and Nell's role at the store.
Oh, Nell's wonderful. She comes in most days. She's, let's see, pushing 3 now, and she's beautifully behaved. Those of you who know dogs, poodles are a very smart breed, and she loves children. And so most days you will find her there greeting the customers when you come in, and she does like treats.
That's fabulous. Pamela, tell us about being a bookseller and about your favorite thing about being a bookseller and about serving the community there in Excelsior.
Oh, my favorite thing about being a bookseller is doing the events, which is why I love my position as events coordinator. It is just magic when you get to introduce an author to fans that have loved their work for a long time and are finally getting to meet them in person, or to introduce their new book to people who may not be familiar with them. We love to group authors about 4 at a time. Randy came and participated a few years ago when she was releasing The Widow of Wall Street. And it's just absolutely magical to see people get so excited about meeting a real live author.
Yeah, the events are fabulous. I'm going to ask you about events. I love to ask booksellers about events because I think events can be a really unique and kind of unpredictable venue. And I like to ask people if there was an event that was especially unexpected, funny, terrifying, otherwise noteworthy that you would like to share with our audience.
Oh, most definitely. We do the Literature Lovers Night Out program most months, and it was a very cold February. Everybody came in and they were all, of course, in layered clothing because it was freezing. And Jane Hamilton was on the program that night with several other authors. And we do our events off-site up at a big church near us. And so there we were, and all the authors are up on the podium taking their turn speaking. Jane Hamilton got up there and went into this hysterical story about how she wanted to get dressed up for the evening. So there on the altar, she proceeds to get undressed, taking off sweaters, shirts, till she stripped down to a little top and some leggings. And then over that, she popped on this gold lame evening gown and proceeded to do the event in her evening gown, marching around the stage. It just brought down the house. And it was a wonderful, wonderful event that I'm sure no one has forgotten.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the secret is that many of us authors secretly want to be on stage. And when you put us in front of an audience, we work like for years alone. And then when you put us in front of an audience, sometimes all bets are off. So I love that. That's so fabulous. I'm going to have more questions about book selling and about the bookstore for you, but I want to turn to Randy because the reason that we are here today is that Randy has selected Excelsior Bay as a beloved indie. And Randy, I want to ask you, what do you love so much about this bookstore?
Well, the love started with Pamela. I think I met you, Pamela, back when I was doing an event at Meyers and Quinn.
That was the first time we met, but we had become acquainted online before that through our mutual friend, author Kate Ledger.
I was going to say, I was I forget which book it was coming out, and I'm part of an online secret novelist group. And Kate had suggested get in touch with Pam. Nobody loves books like Pamela. And we just hit it off. And I came to Meyers and Quinn, and I did an event with Robin Black and Ann Bauer. And that was lovely. But then, I mean, I love Minnesota. First of all, Joe, for books, Minnesota is it. The readers there, other than Boston, my beautiful Boston, readers in Minnesota are fabulous. There's an event I've done twice, sort of off the beaten path, that raises money for a library, and it just escaped my old mind, where there were, the first time I went there were, oh God, 300 people, and then there were 850 people the next time, all buying books. But the event that I did at Excelsior Bay, with nobody can run an event like this woman. As you know, as an author, Joe, events can be, with other authors, can be kind of weird, right? There's the author who won't stop yanking, who takes all the time. And everybody's sitting there like this, or the other authors, you know, with little hate things zooming out of their head. Then there's the author who drones on and on. Well, Pamela knows how to keep those out of the mix, right? Somehow you just know.
Well, I
and
usually
then
pre-screen.
there's the, you do. And then there's the event with two people that you have flown 45,000 miles to get to. None of this happens with Pamela because A, the room is overfull to overflowing, and all those people buy your books, and she watches the time like nobody I've ever known except myself. Pamela, I swear you have a mental hook. Get people off the stage when their time is up. And I cannot tell you, as an author, how much I appreciate that I could relax and not think, are you finished? Are you finished? Are you finished? Knowing everybody got their time. The people in Minnesota are so warm, so loving of the book. And, you know, we had a march back to the bookstore. I'm thinking, well, nobody's going to come back to the bookstore after being off site. They were all there, all buying the book. Sweet like sugar, as my grandmother would say. Excelsior Bay Books is sweet like sugar. I love it.
My, that's the best recommendation I think I've ever heard for a bookstore. I
Thank
should tell the online audience that in addition to being a fabulous novelist, Randy also teaches debut authors about how to go on book tour, how to market their books, how to get there, all of the inside, which she taught me, and she, as you can tell, she's fabulous at that.
Thank you.
So that's great. Randy, what would you want readers to know about Excelsior Bay if they were able to go there? I mean, do you have a sense of sort of the shop in terms of what is special about it when you walk in there as a book buyer?
It is warm and inviting, and the booksellers all seem really happy to see you. There's a few bookstores I've been to, and I will never name names, where you feel like they're doing you a favor by taking your money. It's like, okay, I'll take your money. Their recommendations are fabulous. They highlight both local authors and authors throughout. I felt like I could have spent a really long time there. I was coming back, so I really shouldn't have bought anything. I came back laden. Now, luckily, Jeff, my husband, was with me, so he could carry everything. And it's a delight of a bookstore. It's beautifully curated, beautifully.
That's so great. Pamela, tell us a little bit about the bookstore and this sort of particular chapter in its history. COVID has obviously been a tremendous challenge to independent bookstores everywhere. I'd love to hear a little bit about how the bookstore has been coping with this year. And also, if you have any observations about what people want to read, about how people are reading and how people are engaging with books during this, really difficult time.
Mhm. Well, fortunately for the community, Anne and her husband Woody were working practically around the clock when it was only the two of them allowed in the store. And normally most of our business comes in through the front door, but then it switched over to phone and online. And they were ordering books and getting them out like crazy, whether people were picking up bags outside the store at the curbside or having them shipped to them. And we've always done a thriving business with puzzles. But last winter, people really went crazy with puzzles. You could hardly get puzzles stocked. And we were bringing them into the community. Anne and Woody did a great display in the window. People could call up and tell them what one they wanted and get it out to them, keep them busy. Minnesota at one point had the most number of book clubs in the entire country. I haven't heard the statistics lately, but there are many, many book clubs in the area, and they are a big part of the business at Excelsior Bay Books. And so just like everything else, many book clubs switched to Zoom. So they were still ordering books, and we were still doing lots of recommendations for book clubs. Our former owner, Ellie Temple, she does Zoom sessions for book clubs who are looking for recommendations for their upcoming year and what they're going to choose to read. And she continued to do that. And right now, some of the hot sellers are Tana French's latest mystery, The Searcher. She's a wonderful Irish author. Ken Follett, of course, always goes to the bestseller list, and his new one is The Evening and the Morning. Leading the pack with nonfiction, of course, Isabella Wilkerson's Cast, absolutely stellar nonfiction. And we're fortunate to have so many authors right here in the Twin Cities, and one of them is Scott Dominic Carpenter. He's got a fun memoir in the vein of Bill Bryson called French Like Moi, and that has been going out of the store like hotcakes. And if we do a big business in children's too. And with the schools shut down last spring or being online, people were looking to supplement their children's reading, especially when the libraries were closed. And we have a wonderfully curated children's department, lots of picture books, paperbacks, hardcovers, new and classic, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You can't beat it. And Jeff Kinney's got a brand new one out called The Deep End that's been selling really well with boys and girls. So our booksellers are knowledgeable. They love books. They love recommending books. So whether people are calling in or actually coming back into the store now that they're able to, we're getting books out into the hands of readers.
That's great. And we're going to get those links into the Facebook chat so that people can click on them and pick up a copy through the store's website if they want to. That's fabulous. Randy, your online fans are happy to see you. And I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to roll two questions together. I'm going to ask you a compound question, I'm afraid. My question for you is, have you been able to keep on writing during the pandemic? And what can we expect from you next?
I should have prepared for that question. Yes. No.
Okay.
I have been writing. I have been writing through the pandemic. I was lucky enough to be in the middle of a book that I'm co-authoring with somebody. And it's a little bit of a secret right now, so I can't quite say. And
Okay.
we were having a ball with it, and it really saved us throughout a good portion. And all I can say about it at this point is it takes the best of both of us. You know, it's a New York Times bestselling author who's wonderful, but who writes very different kind of stuff than I do, but we are very close friends. And it is in the vein of a rom-com, except instead of being a rom-com, it's a sister-com, family-com, women over 45 to 90 It's meant for women like us who have been kind of ignored, and it's basically about what happens when a mother dies and two sisters come together and the inheritance they're expecting is totally unexpected. And oh, by the way, the sisters were estranged beforehand. So we're very excited about this book, which we are now done with, and I will be announcing it pretty soon.
Oh, that's great. Oh, you've got a huge hook for us here on the program. That's awesome.
Can I call dibs on the event now?
First time it's been mentioned.
You call dibs on the event? Yeah.
The first time I talked about it publicly, so I hope I don't get in trouble with either my co-author or my agent or her agent. So there we go.
Well, we won't get specific about it, but it sounds fabulous. Randy, what is your thought about what people are wanting to read during this period of time? I mean, we've been going so much, not only with COVID, but also with the just the unrest that we've been experiencing as a culture and politically. What do people turn to books for, and turn to authors for at a time like this? I mean, what have you been reading?
I think that there's been an awful lot of what, I don't know who termed this term, but it's a great term, doom scrolling, as we all go through, Facebook, not to mention I'm getting. So I think I know that what I've been doing since I first learned how to read when I was probably 4 years old. At this point, it's really escape. And I generally read about an even in nonfiction, more to memoir and fiction, being odd genres. One I'm a little ashamed to say, but as Pamela knows, I'll say almost anything if it's true. I've been reading a lot of Memoir of Addiction. I am not an addict. I am not a junkie, nor am I an alcoholic, but I love reading Memoirs of Addiction. I don't know why. Well, I was an addict. Okay, maybe that's why. So that's one thing I've been reading. So I think that comes from the place where if you read things that are just really more heart-wrenching than when you're going through, but yet don't touch you, that's helpful. I've also been finding myself lost in genres that I don't usually read as much. Like right now I'm reading something by Sophie Hannah, her new book, and I can't remember the name of it. Probably you can Google it in 2 seconds, Pamela. I just finished reading How to Stop Time by Matt Hague, which, did you read that, Pamela? It's a couple of years old.
I haven't read that one, but I've read lots of his other books. Mm-hmm. Oh wait, no, How to Stop Time. I did read the new one I haven't read yet. Mm-hmm.
What a delight. What a delight.
Gorgeous.
And then I just read MJ Rose's book that's going to come out. I got a advanced copy from NetGalley, The Last Tiara, which really was enthralling because it was just lost me in jewels and Russian history. And then I just sent it, and I went for, oh, by the way, Matt Hague book was a staff pick from Belmont Books. You know Belmont Books, Joe?
I do.
I think you have some family that works
I
there.
do.
Yes. And so then I went to some more staff picks. And so I just got in the mail this book, Queenie, by Candace, Courty, Williams. Have you read this, Pamela?
Yes, I have.
I can't wait to read it. Was it good? Or what are you going to say? Right?
Yes. No, it is good. And I had the pleasure of meeting the author. She's a wonderfully talented young woman. Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait because it's just different than it's lighter than what I usually read. And then I went back to an old favorite author, Sue Miller, and I just got Monogamy from Belmont Books. So I think I'm going into less, I usually go for very, very dark fiction. I think I'm going a little more either lighter or family drama instead of I am not going for the end of the world fiction right now. Wonder why.
Yeah, we have enough of that in the news. Pamela, question for you. You have hosted so many events and authors at the bookstore. Who is the dream author you have not yet hosted?
Well, if someone asked me who's my favorite author, I would never be able to pick just one, but my holy grail has become getting Christopher Boljalian to this program. He tends to release his new books in January, and surprise, surprise, publishers are hesitant to send people to Minnesota in January for events. Our weather is not always conducive to everybody getting there on time, and so they tend to send them to warmer climates. But I would absolutely love to have Chris on the program sometime. I'm a big fan of his work, and I know he's a wonderful and witty raconteur when he's on the stage, and that would be one of my dream choices.
We're going to be interviewing him on this program in January, so we'll put in a plug for you. We'll suggest that he takes a trip out to Minnesota.
I think Chris knows how excitedly I would be awaiting his arrival.
All right. We'll lean on him a little bit when we have him, and that's an advanced plug for the audience for January 2021. That's awesome. We're running down on time. Pamela, I want to ask you one more question, which is about community, because I think, one of the things I love about my local indies, including Belmont Books, and Wellesley Books, and a lot of the great independent bookstores around me here, is the sense of community that comes from, from the book clubs, but from the events. I mean, I love the events. I love going to the events. I love seeing people at the events who I've seen, at others. And one of the things I just miss the most about not being able to do that. And I wonder what you think, sort of as an events coordinator, about that, about the nature of the communities that evolve at bookstores, and about how you sort of cultivate and build those, and what that's like for you.
Well, the nice thing about the bookstore having been part of the community for 26 years is that so many people started shopping all those years ago when they may have had young families, and the owners and the bookstore staff were recommending books for the adults in the family, the children. And as they grew up, they continued to come back into the store. Now those children are adults, and we're seeing them come in with their own children. And it's wonderful to have that kind of continuity. And parents come in for our adult events. We do events with schools, and periodically we have children's programming at the store. And it's fun to see all the different generations turning up for that kind of thing. And that's the wonderful advantage of being part of a smaller community, where you actually get to know your customers, and they come back year after year, week after week.
I love that. I think it's so true. And, when you say it, it makes me realize that I've, bought books for my young kids at the bookstores, and then, they get older, and we, go into the YA section together and kind of things like that. And it is kind of this lifespan type of a thing. I haven't really thought about it that way before, but that's fabulous. Thank you so much for that. Randy, we're going to be wrapping up. Do you have any thoughts about what you want to do the next time you can get to Excelsior, Minnesota? Are you going to be heading out there for a trip to the store, and maybe for an event for your new forthcoming book? I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you book it right now?
Pamela. If Pamela invites me, I will be there. And when she sees who the co-author is, she's going to want to have us both. And the next time I'm in Excelsior, I hope that I can see my friends who live. Let's have a dinner.
Most definitely.
Dinner, and you and Kate, and we'll just really. Kate came to my last event, and that was such a joy. And the other thing I love in going to Excelsior is I love Minnesota. I mean, Minneapolis as a town. The museums there are fabulous, and I had such a good time going from one to another. And then, what is it? The Opera House, or the what is that gorgeous building, Pamela? It's not the Opera House. It's the redone theater.
Oh, there's the Orpheum Theater downtown. Is that the one you're talking about? Or the State Theater? Both of those are kind of Rococo styled.
That sounds great.
The one that's over the water. I want to go back there, and I want to see a show there. I really do love Minnesota. It's a great
I think you're thinking of the Guthrie that's on the river there, perhaps.
Yes, the Guthrie Theater.
Yes.
I want to go back to the Guthrie Theater.
I would be delighted to take you.
Well, I've never been to Minnesota, so I may crash your event.
Okay.
So I may show up.
Please do, Joe. You've got a standing invitation.
Love it.
Pamela, we want our audience to be able to support Excelsior Bay Books. If they want to support you at this time, they should head to excelsiorbaybooks.org. Is that correct?
If you Google Excelsior Bay, it'll come up with an Indie Light,
ExcelsiorBayBooks.IndieLight.org. Yes.
or you
And-
can call the store, and booksellers are standing by waiting for you to order one of Randy's books.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Pamela.
So
Having read them all, I can recommend them.
oh yeah, those are unqualified recommendations. So to the audience, ExcelsiorBayBooks.IndieLight.org for online or curbside, or if you're close enough, show up at the store when permitted. Please also head to randysusanmeyers.com to find out more about Randy as an author, about her work, and about this mysterious and exciting upcoming new release by her back catalog at Excelsior Bay Books. Thank you to both of you so much for being here with us today. It's been a total delight to speak to both of you. And I hope that you both stay well. And to our online audience, join us again next Wednesday for more of A Mighty Blaze's Authors Love Bookstores. Until then, be well and keep reading. Good night.
Thank you.
Yes, Randy.